All right, it's 8:29. Here we are. Oh, need the
Clock's wrong.
stuff. No, I just go by my watch.
It's 8:30.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just switched. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's 8:30 on October 12th. And we have minutes of October 4th that we need to acknowledge. Do we have a motion for the October 4th minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meet with county engineer. Good morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, supervisors. Good morning. Let's see, we have, the crews have been busiest last week between the sprinkles. They've got the preliminary work done on the Mahogany Road Bridge, so they'll be ready for Iowa Bridge and Culvert to come in and do their rehabilitation work. Hopefully week of the 25th, they hope to move in to take care of that. They're working with the belly dumps to calibrate those replacing road rocks so they can get the right amount of tonnage per lineal foot applied. So it's kind of a hit and miss experiment, but they've about got it that wiped out, and they're really happy with the way those are working. So that's good. It's much better than spending that much money and saying, oh man, we really screwed up.
Yeah.
So I've been talking with Billy a bit about that farm to market change we were talking about. And since we've already used a grant to take care of that Peach Road Bridge, redo that. And that route is only a mile or so off of the existing farm to market at Pleasant Plain. We talked about, instead of replacing that whole route, moving it over to Peach, just instead of going to Oak Avenue, which is basically a residential driveway, just run that farm to market route straight north on Osage.
Oh, sure.
And
makes sense.
And that way we've got two bridges on that farm to market route that are going to need investment, not right away, but in the future. So it'd be nice to have access to those farm to market funds to take care of that. And that being as we're not making a large change, I think that'll fly past the board a lot better.
Are the current roads comparable as far as traffic and?
Yeah. Where that farm to market route, the current farm to market route really drops is when you go from 122nd up to 110th on Oak.
Yeah, and that's
that has one house on it, and they're farming basically from edge of road to edge of road on that. So all the right of way is gone. Yeah, it makes sense to
no, that's fine.
leave that as a lower bond.
Do we need an official action on that?
Actually, I will need I'll get,
Put
put a resolution to that I have to submit to the
It
state
seems like we would.
before they will approve that.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I also have a plat or a map from the assessor's office in front of you guys, which really at this point we don't have a dog in this fight, but at some point in the past somebody was allowed to subdivide some land with no access. There is a private lane that goes back in there. That Kalina Avenue is a private road owned by the subdivision to the west.
Where is this?
North on Highway 1.
Okay.
And then west on 150th. It's just a mile off Highway 1. Nice pond there. It looks like a very, very attractive property, but they've got no way to get there. So I spoke with the realtor yesterday and indicated that right now I would suggest he speak real nice to the existing homeowners association and see if they can't buy into that. But, at some point when that was subdivided, that should have been a requirement of accepting that in, but.
Right in there somewhere.
Yeah, so right now, that isn't any concern of ours yet, but somebody may call and try to make it a concern of yours. So I thought I'd give you a little advance warning.
Somebody building a new home out there is gonna tear up that road, and some other homeowner out there is gonna get mad because the county's not taking care of the road.
But it's a private road.
All that, and it's a
So,
private road.
It's between the landowners or
It's between the landowners, and actually it's between the party trying to sell it and the landowners, and I would hope that they can work something out.
How long ago was that subdivided? Do you?
2009, I think.
2009.
It's been a while. And I gave you the updated budget sheet just to show you where we're at.
Okay.
Nothing earth shattering there. And then we've, let's see, we talked about that. We've settled on the Carlson computer drafting system for our in-office design work. It's a little more upfront, but then the annual maintenance fee is a lot lower. And it provides 2 licenses, whereas the competitors were all providing 1. So Thomas did a great job bird dogging that and going through all of the paperwork and finding the different options for us. So really happy with the way he's working out. He's
Good.
He's a great guy.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm glad we have it. And really that is, let's see. Oh, and people do pay attention to your board meetings.
Why?
So I had somebody come in yesterday morning and wanting to know when we were going to use that fancy new knuckle attachment he'd heard about at the board meeting to clean his ditches out.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Did they hear it on the radio?
They're listening.
Yeah, so
People
people pay attention to
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Yep.
All right.
And he's on our list to get taken care
Good.
Discuss and consider resolution reflecting the hiring of Dwayne Hines as county engineer. This is a paperwork thing. We had a written letter of agreement and we need to do a resolution. So basically it's be it resolved by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors that Dwayne Hines PE be hired as secondary road department county engineer effective July 1st, 2021. Initial rate of $120,000 annually. Be it resolved by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors that Dwayne A. Hines PE pay increase effective January 1st, 2022 is $125,000 annually.
Now, this is more just for the DOT as well, correct? They need this on file so that they know that you can apply for state funds and the federal funds and that kind of thing for us. So I would move that we accept the resolution.
I will second that, right?
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And you're doing a great job, Dwayne. We're glad
Yes.
you're here.
Appreciate it.
Yes, very pleased. Very pleased.
I was up to about 9 last night, so the short night.
Alrighty, well, if you guys are done with me, I'll.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Okay, see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can use that on Monday, too. Yeah, and 1 year
Thank you.
contract.
All right, discuss and consider replacement of current water system at Jefferson County Law Center.
Okay, Bart, you're up.
So
Okay, let's talk water.
this sounds like this is more informational for us, but it's really a service agency issue.
Well,
potentially.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get answers to it. I'm just trying to get this out today to the board. There's an issue, there's been an issue, water problem with the Lawson Center since 2000.
Mhm.
In 2003, we added a filtration system because sediment was building up in some of our stuff. Over the years, we've had a lot of plumbing problems. We've had to replace copper pipes, faucets, valves, just corroded stuff. So I'm trying to get an answer. I've had contacted Fairfield Water to test it coming into the building and after filtration. Our filtration system is completely shot. It's taken on so much whatever, it's eaten through it now. So Fairfield Water's answer is bypass it, you'll be fine. But I don't know.
The filtration.
The filtration system, I hope you reviewed your email.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
kind of have
it's a
a
lot of-
visual on what we have. It immediately goes through the filtration system once it comes in.
But if you bypass that, won't it clog your other
yes.
pipes down? I mean,
I would think so. We've replaced sprinklers heads, we've replaced pipes to those heads. You see from the cost, it was over 35,000 just last year.
Mhm.
You know, we're paying thousands of dollars for the water, but yet we're paying enormous prices to repair some of this stuff. So what is the problem? So we've contacted the state hygienic lab. We'll probably get some testing. We're bringing in somebody today to potentially replace the filtration system to see what we need. The water is hard. It's coming in with high pH.
Mhm.
There was also another number on there that the state lab questioned. It's the TDS number,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is kind of high. It's coming in with the high LI number. So
Which could mean the lines, the mains that are coming to that area have been in place for a long time and need to be reviewed as far as whether they need to be changed or replaced, and
right.
that's a city expense.
so how do
Right.
we get that?
And I would say that would you not fix the problem, but you
Would
need to
help.
assess that instead of going to the end. You need to.
Right.
I mean, our pH is coming in over 9, which neutral 7.
Mhm.
So it's making it corrosive. It's
Right.
attacking the metals in the building. So I'm wanting to try to figure out what's going on first before we jump into some, and I want a straight answer from somebody on
Well-
what's going on. We've fought this problem for years.
Sounds like it. So it sounds to me the place to start would be with service agency in the city with
Yeah.
the means. Let's start there and get
Yeah.
that piece figured out. Because I just know from what my parents living in 2 different parts of town, depending where they lived, the water was totally different.
Yeah, and it can be, and a lot of times it's because age of mains that are in the
Mhm.
area that are feeding that, and I'm sure they're being fed by all of the older homes
Sure.
that are up there, and unless a water main breaks, then they don't realize or have any reason to suspect that there's a problem. And flushing mains like they do on a regular basis around here, that takes care of a lot of that. Their annual addition of chlorine to the lines when they flush the mains is to get all of that corrosive material out. That's why when you see when they're flushing mains, the big rust puddles out in the street after they're done, that's all material that comes out when they're trying to do that flushing, and they do that on an annual basis all the way around the city of Fairfield. So, it's one of those things that happens with water lines, and, there could be some old metal lines, cast metal lines that are in places, and newer lines are all plastic now, which are less susceptible to that kind of thing.
And you know where the law
So-
center is, there's not much housing development there. A lot
Right,
of
there isn't
factories, so
anything,
I'm
there's
sure that
nothing
It
new,
all needs looked at.
probably.
I was told by the city that early nineties, they replaced all that with PVC. I don't
Okay.
know if that's true, but,
Well,
and that
could
would have
very well
been before
be.
the building was there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I want to figure out the problem before we jump into
Yeah.
some more
Right,
expense, because we're looking
exactly.
at a filtration system that could be $30,000+. We are visiting with the hospital tomorrow to see what they have. They soften part of their water, and the softened water goes to I think they have 4 different systems within the hospital.
That's a
to
good idea.
filter it out after it's softened. So, you know, on one way we spend filtration system, but is it going to save our plumbing? And maybe this system's been clogging for the last couple of years, and we're just seeing it now. We've had to replace complete copper lines because they start to
yeah,
corrode.
that's unusual for
Yeah.
copper lines to corrode that way.
So can you put this on the agenda for service agency?
Yes, I can contact Tammy Jones. I don't think she's put it out yet.
No,
No,
because our
she
meeting's
hasn't.
not until what,
The end of
October
the month.
29th, I
Yeah.
think, something like
Okay.
that.
Mhm.
So it is going to be a huge expense if we have to buy another filtration system. The one we currently have is shot. It's not even doing anything now.
Well, this is definitely something that would fall within service agency
Yeah.
Mhm.
to,
I mean, this
Communicate.
water problem affects a lot of things, not only the faucets, the pipes, but you know, the showers that we have in the jail. I mean, they're needing repair because they're concrete, but yet they have a surface stuff on them that's all been peeled off, you know, stuff like
Sure.
that.
Mhm.
You know, we have to buy a certain type of soap back there that contains baby oil because of the hard
Interesting.
water. Yeah, it ends up costing more other
Yeah.
places too.
I think it'll be interesting.
You know, but that's the end of the problem. You need to go to the root cause, and Bart's right. Then you don't check your water.
Right, so we're trying to get some tests done on it, see where we're at. We're checking with people that we know, the state lab, the hospital, checking with filtration companies to say, you know, what's our best option.
No, I think it's good to check with some other places like the hospital around town that would be large users. And
But if you don't fix the problem, 10 years, 20 years, they'll have the same problem
Exactly.
over and over.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to keep pushing it along either,
Yeah.
no,
because we're gonna be replacing sprinkler heads and all that stuff again.
but the numbers you sent us on the repairs, definitely it shows the need to have something done.
Right,
So will you present that to the service agency?
I can.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they need to see it.
Yeah,
So,
And that next meeting is.
Because at what point would what would the city have to pay it that? Just curious.
well, on that's a good question.
We'd have to
Because
see where that fits.
Well, you know,
I mean, that filters all the water coming in the whole building.
yeah,
right.
So would that be some, I don't know, that's a
Well,
question for the
they-
attorneys.
I know. What's the 2080 now think currently? You know, I
Yeah, I
know
don't know.
you might be in the process of changing that, but they have a responsibility too.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why we need to
Right,
bring
yeah.
it to service agency,
And currently, under the situation, it'd be 100% out of my budget.
right?
And that's another question. I mean, depending on which way this goes, might be a huge expense, which might be a budget amendment later next
Right.
year, you know.
Mhm.
And then the city would reimburse the appropriate.
Would reimburse back to the county, whether it's a third or a half. But we do need to get to what the problem is. I think we're pushing it along. You know, 03, their solution was to add this huge filtration system, which has helped over the years, but it still left the water apparently somewhat corrosive. So
Okay. Good, thanks
I'm
for bringing that
I'm
to.
not a water expert, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks for
None of
bringing
us,
that
none
to
of
our
us here
attention.
are. so-
But Bart, would you take a glass and take a drink of that water?
No, I will not drink the water coming out of the faucet there.
No.
Why? Does it taste like?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the taste. I'm
The
just
color?
seeing the numbers on what it
Oh,
and the corrosive
Got it.
aspect to it.
well, you're smart to know the state
They're
lab.
saying it's safe to drink. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fine with water.
I don't want to scare the public, but I think the public ought to have their own water tested too. I mean, I think it's important. Water's an issue.
Well, yeah, you can live without a lot of things, but you can only live about 3.5 days without water.
Yeah,
And it's too bad we don't go back to the source and test the water, you know what I mean? Back up.
we could do that.
Well, the city's required to put out tests.
They do an annual report on water quality. They test it.
Do they send it
well.
to the
They
hygienic
also,
lab then?
yeah, they have to report back to the state on all of it, plus keep it on file for anybody that wants to see it. And I think they keep that out at the water department out at
The park,
Fairfield.
yeah.
They should have a copy up at City Hall that they could access or be able to get access
It'd be
to.
interesting to see over the past 10 years what that report has said.
And I know when Lee was on, I think Russ, one of his committees, they got real involved in the testing. And evidently there's different testing methods.
There are. Yeah. Yeah, but I would imagine that with Russ, they were testing well sites at cities that were shallow wells versus what the city uses here is about a half a mile deep, 2,600 foot deep.
And I don't know
well.
if it was Russ or
So,
some committee
yeah.
related to here, but I know once upon a time,
Right.
there was a lot
But,
of discussion on water testing.
Yeah, there was a move
You know,
many
in
years
this
ago.
community, it's gonna be kind of important to test the water.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
Okay, thanks,
there's been
Bart.
questions
Okay,
about it over the years. as
Thank
well.
you. I'll keep you updated.
Okay,
All righty.
Thank you.
thanks, Bart.
Yep.
Committee reports.
That's not water, is it?
That is my vitamin C for the day. Vitamin C and vitamin D.
There you go.
That's good. For
Okay.
All right, I have no committee reports.
And neither do I.
We had Pathfinders last night, and because of that ruling last summer's something, anyway, we're working on a 2080 that'll eventually come before this board. And at first they started out with contracts, and then Pat suggested it be a 2080 because it involves counties. So he and Ian drafted something and sent it to Ashley at Pathfinders. So the board discussed it last night just for input from their county attorneys.
Mhm.
And so that will come to this board sometime. Our next meeting is November 1st, so I'm guessing after that.
Okay,
And it's just to comply with a ruling that the state auditor did last summer. I think that's the main thing since our last meeting. Okay, public comments? I don't see any.
we don't
public-
have any public on with us today.
public comments.
Actually, yes, so I was at the city hall meeting before here in Fairfield last night, and this is going back to your water issue. They're having to replace their sewer aerobic digester.
Mhm.
This digester is supposed to last 20 years, but it's lasted about 10 because the inside of it's corrosive and they're needing to replace it, or else it might end up having holes open up in it and we could have a potential spill.
Right, that's sanitary sewer.
Yeah, that's for sanitary purposes,
Right.
but it's still with the town water. So I'm just curious how widespread this whole water issue is, if they're having to replace this.
There's a big difference with pre-used water, which is potable water,
Right.
and post-used water, which is non-potable water,
Right.
which is non-drinkable.
Right,
And the materials that are flushed or put down the drain or that kind of thing. And that's what is highly corrosive when it comes to the sewage treatment and the clarifier that they have out there.
right.
And so, yeah, they did do a big project 10 years ago on that out there. And the water that comes into that is not great quality to begin with.
Right.
So I don't know as to whether there's a direct correlation between what's coming out of the water treatment plant, which is out here by Bonneville Lake, versus what gets into the treatment plant down here for the sewage treatment. I know that they do treatment at Dexter factory, the washing machine factory on water for heavy metals and those kind of things before they can be dumped into the city's treatment system. So I'm sure there's other factories around town that do that very same thing, so that the metals that they use when they're doing their processes don't get mixed in with other water that's being treated down at the plant down there. And so it's pretty complex on how the water goes from your tap to the treatment plant out here. And whether the quality of the water coming to your tap is sufficient is completely different than what the quality of the water is once it gets to the treatment facility.
Right.
Because, there's a lot of us that'll pour cooking grease down the sink instead of throwing it in the trash like you're supposed to. And there's all kinds of things that get flushed anymore, even medical waste. People will flush medical waste, pills or whatever that they don't want to take anymore, or it's been on the shelf for a long time, they'll dump them down the toilet.
Speaking of those,
Flush
when's
it.
that take back day?
It's coming up this month. We're gonna have
Mhm.
another one. We have 2 a year.
That'll
So
be a
we
good
set
day for
up,
you to be. Do you have the
Yeah.
information on that?
I'm
I
not,
can send it to you.
please do.
yes, it's coming up. So usually we'll have a press release of some sort.
Okay,
Usually Pat Magaman's involved with it
yeah,
also. So
A lot of that's targeted at a controlled type substance.
Anytime, any-
prescription drugs,
any
yes, yes.
prescription drugs.
We're wanting to
But,
get it out of the homes, we'll keep people from flushing it, that type of
Well,
thing.
you'd probably
so.
take like old, I know when we cleaned out my mom's stuff, there was like old 1995 ibuprofen and stuff,
Yeah,
that's-
we'll-
you
we'll
can take
take all
kind of
that.
stuff.
Oh, good Lord.
We'll take all that.
So that's what it's for, so it doesn't go down
Yeah,
and get flushed.
yeah.
All right.
People aren't bringing us their heroin and meth.
Well, no, but they're bringing you your opioids
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people have been
Yeah.
prescribed by doctors here in the community, or they should be. That
Well,
or
They may not have
somebody's
needed
taking
them.
them off of their shelves.
Yep, all right.
Don't let that happen.
Do we have a motion for claims and approved reports?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nuisance properties.
Yes, next Monday, I have asked that we put Brian Westfall on for a hearing for the cleanup that just went on the property out in East Pleasant Point.
Did you send that to Abby or? you
I have
sent-
not sent that to Abby. I
I'll send
sent it to you
Yeah.
first because
Yeah.
you're the
Yep,
chairman, you do the
I'll
agenda,
send it.
so.
All right,
That would actually be 136 right off Germanville, right? Correct.
I'm not sure which one of his properties they cleaned up.
The way I understand it, it's right off Germanville. You can see it from Germanville. It's on 136.
Okay,
okay,
That
All right.
gravel road then goes to Polishville?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
Okay.
cuts across all the way. Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah, that little house there with,
Mhm.
yes, had animals and everything.
And does he have, he knows that's
I
gonna
said- I
happen, or
told
do we
that
have to
right.
send? him?
Yes, he knows. He's the
Okay.
one that requested
Wanted
it.
it. Okay,
So I
just
said
didn't
that I
know if
would
we
get
needed
it
to
on
do
the
anything.
agenda.
Sure.
We do need to notify him that it is going to be at the time that you set, which I requested a 9 AM
right,
hearing
No, I
on
saw the
Monday,
email.
the
I just-
18th. So. Yeah, the cleanup on the property just took place this last week. out
Is it
there.
done, the cleanup?
Yeah, they're already done.
Wow.
Russ will be here as well as Chittick, Buddy Chittick, who did the cleanup
Yeah,
out there,
yeah.
as well as Pat McMahon will be sitting in here with the meeting
Mhm.
with us, and we will be doing that. So,
Thank you.
yep.
All right. There we go.
All right, I would make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.